Right then, hello there and welcome back once again to the channel. I'm here with another shoebox, but this time it's a Nike by You shoebox. Let's see what's inside. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what Nike by You is, it's essentially where you get to design your own shoe. You get to pick an upper, you get to pick colorways, you get to pick laces and that sort of thing, and basically create yourself a bit of a monster, as you will see from this version of a Tempo Next Percent with Vaporfly upper. So basically what happens is on the Nike app or the Nike website, you get to pick lots of different characteristics of a shoe, changing the colours, and then Nike will make that for you and then send it out. So full disclosure, I put a video together for Nike which basically described that entire process and took you through the whole design, order, delivery and first run of that. I'll put a link to that video up here. For this video, what I want to do is I want to compare the Tempo Next Percent with the Vaporweave upper that I've created here to the original Tempo Next Percent with the Flyknit upper. Here's one I prepared earlier. So yeah, as I say, what I've done with this shoe is I've put the Vaporweave upper, and it's really a mishmash of the Vaporfly and the Tempo Next Percent. So much so that on the tongue there, if I just bring that in close, it actually says Vaporfly. So we've got that Vaporweave upper mixed with the Tempo midsole with the Zoom AirPods and the forefoot. Now weirdly, I'm doing this video a little bit backwards because I originally recorded all of this introduction and a run, and then my SD card on the GoPro sort of crashed and deleted half of my footage. So I'm sort of retrospectively doing the introduction, and then I'll do a quick summary at the end of how the first run went this morning. But in the initial introduction that I recorded, what I said was I was hoping to get out of this shoe was a more secure upper fit. What I found in the original Flyknit upper version, which is sort of a sock-like fit, is that I didn't have a very stable or secure footing. I felt as though I couldn't get a nice locked-in feel. That's partly to do with this sock-like fit. It's basically a single piece of material. There's no sort of separate tongue or anything. It's this sock-like fit. You have a lacing system which doesn't allow you to get a really secure fit because you're unable to apply the runner's knot or anything like that. It's really quite a flexible upper, and what I would find is that there was just a bit too much room, a bit too much flex, and if I was taking corners or whatever, I just felt my foot was slipping and sliding off the midsole. Now when I very first picked up this shoe, I just didn't really get on with it. I couldn't quite work out where it was supposed to sit in my rotation. I gave it a couple more chances and started to run a little bit faster in it, and actually that's when it started to come alive a little bit. It's not a slow day shoe, it's not a race day shoe, it's a tempo shoe, so the name sort of gives that away. But even still, I did find that that security just wasn't quite right, and so I perhaps don't put as many miles in this version as I should do, or I could do, if I just had that little bit of extra security. So what I've done here is by taking the Vaporweave upper. Now the Vaporweave upper is what you find on the Vaporfly Next Percent. Here's one I prepared earlier again. So what we've got is, it's quite a restrictive race feel to the upper. So I've always found that my feet are sort of firmly held in place. So what I'm hoping to get is moving away from that sort of slipping and sliding in the Flyknit version and just getting a lot more locked down security, but without the carbon fibre plate, so more of a training shoe. Something with a little bit more kind of the cushioning and the energy return that you get from a combination of the Zoom AirPods at the front and the composite plate that shoe has got inside. I'm really enjoying this design. I'm hoping I'm really going to enjoy the run, so let's take it outside and see how they perform. Right, so I am almost 4 kilometers in, and already I'm much preferring the fit and security of fit of the Vaporweave upper. I just feel a lot more stable, a lot more held in place than in that Flyknit upper, which just allows your foot to slide around a little too much. Feeling a lot more locked down, so I'm using that toggle lace system rather than traditional laces, but even still
the toggle is holding my feet down firmly, and what I'm finding is the restrictiveness of the Vaporweave, if you like. It is quite a restrictive material. I found that in the Vaporfly Next Percent 1, where even in a UK 13 my feet would feel restricted. There wasn't a lot of breathing space, and when I run, my toes have a tendency to sort of flare out a little bit, but I'm not experiencing any issues with that just yet. So I don't have my headphones in this morning, so I've been able to just listen to the ride, and the Tempo Next Percent, that midsole with the air zoom unit towards the front of the foot, make a really loud thwap 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 noise with each foot strike. Let me put you in close and see if you can see what I mean. Yeah, hopefully you heard that. It's quite a loud noise. It startles dog walkers from a mile away. And that's just the same as on the Flyknit Tempo Next Percent. No change there. Same midsole, same zoom air units. So we've come off the main road now and out into this beautiful countryside. But this track isn't really ideal for the Tempo Next Percent. It's not the best surface for running on anyway. There's lots of stones, there's lots of gravel, and the Tempo Next Percent is much better suited to the road, and to the road in the dry for that matter. I have found in the Flyknit version that if it gets a little damp underfoot, it doesn't have all that great traction. So yeah, I'm just being cautious of where I'm landing. What I don't want is a stone to pop through that zoom air unit. That wouldn't be too ideal. But it's a beautiful route all the same, so I just wanted to check it out and just try it on a few different surfaces, to be honest. The Tempo is not a particularly light shoe. I'm not sure exactly what weight compared to some of the other sort of mid-tier Tempo shoes out there, but yeah, it certainly doesn't feel all that light. The first half of this run, I'm a little over 5k now. The first half has all been sort of uphill. I've been going at a fairly easy rate of 4:48. Actually, that's faster than I thought. I thought I was running about 5 minutes. Average so far of 4:48. So a fairly reasonable rate. But coming up that hill, I was sort of conscious of the shoe. So even with that Vaporweave upper, I don't know how the weight of the Vaporweave compares to the Flyknit, but you could still sort of feel that the shoe was there, if you know what I mean. But again, much prefer this fit and this feel to the Flyknit. Got a bit of a hill coming up here, and then what I'm going to do is to just push them for a bit, perhaps a kilometre, just to see how they pick up the pace, because that's what the Tempo has been best used for so far. The Flyknit version is for those faster tempo runs. Right, so I'm just coming into 6 kilometres. There we have it. I'm just going to pick the pace up a little, just accelerate, turn those legs over a little faster. Just come out onto the country roads. It's a beautiful surface to run on, nice and smooth. We've accelerated quite nicely. Still sort of feeling that additional weight compared to some of the racing shoes out there. Those zoom air units do absorb impact quite nicely, and they do give a little bit of energy return. There's a composite plate in this shoe as well, so it's not a carbon fibre plate, so it's not as rigid, but you do get some energy return. So I'm sitting at 340 per kilometre. We'll pick it up a little later in the interval. Okay, and that is 1 full kilometre in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So I picked it towards 340 and just held that pace, and the shoes felt comfortable at that pace, albeit I wouldn't opt for this shoe as a race day shoe. They felt comfortable, they felt cushioned, they were absorbing the strike, the impact of each footstep quite nicely. But again, the Tempo, it's just not as light as some of the race shoes out there. So if you wanted to hold that pace for a prolonged period, you're working a little harder than you would in some of the carbon fibre plated race shoes. the Vaporfly Next Percent, for example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put the camera away for a short while. I've got about 3 kilometers of the run left to go, so we will pick it up at the end for a summary.
So that is that then, and as I said at the outset of the video, what happened when I was recording some of the later footage is that the SD card on my GoPro wiped out most of the footage that I had, and so my summary at the end of the run didn't record, or it did, but it deleted along with the introduction and some of the early footage, which is a bit frustrating, but we move on. Anyway, so I did 10.5 kilometers this morning, and I actually really enjoyed them as well. And I don't know whether that's because it was an absolutely beautiful day outside, or whether it was down to the shoes, or whether I was just in a really good mood, or maybe it's a combination of all three. Ultimately, where I got to with the shoe is that I really enjoyed the ride. Yes, they're not a very light shoe, they're not a racing shoe, it's not something that I would reach for on race day, but what I did find this time around, compared to the Flyknit, is that I just preferred how they felt. I wasn't running at a hard pace for the duration of the run. I did do one solid interval at a time of 3 minutes and 39 seconds, I think, and they picked up the pace quite well and held it quite well. So overall, I was sort of running at a fairly easy pace, and actually, the shoes felt okay at that pace, which is great. So yeah, that extra security and that extra lock-in that you get from the Vaporweave upper, I think just really made the shoe for me. And it's a real shame that Nike don't offer a Vaporweave upper version, because I think the shoe would be a little bit more popular. So far, it's been a bit of a Marmite shoe, if you know what I mean. So people are either absolutely loving it and putting tons and tons and tons of training miles into the shoe, or they absolutely hate it and just can't really work out where it fits in the rotation. And I've sort of been a little bit of both, but I have been won over by the Vaporweave upper version. I think I've created something that is going to be a really solid training shoe for me throughout the rest of the summer. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the overall experience. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that sort of great stuff. Share this video with all of your friends, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Yo!